It's time to learn about decision-making structures in Rust. So if you're an indecisive person, then this one's for you, okay? Maybe by learning about decision-making structures in programming, you as a person can also learn about making decisions in life. Maybe. All right. So, what are decision-making structures? Well, decision-making structures, basically they're check statement evaluation. So they're checking statements and evaluating them. And they make various outputted decisions programmatically based on the conditions of the statement, right? Should be pretty self-explanatory. They're decision-making structures. They're going to decide whether or not to do something based on other things. And they're going to check those things and see whether or not they're true or not. They check whether they may be true or false, right? And those would be what? Well, Booleans, right? So if something is true, then it's going to do something. If it's false, then alternatively, it'll do something else. Now, what are the decision-making structure statements? Because these are statements. Well, the most famous in programming, the if statement, all right? So the if statement consists of a true or false expression followed by one or more statements. Well, just picture it. If something is true, then do something. So what's a good example of the if statement? Well, let's actually write an example of each one at a time. So the if statement. So we're going to make a function. We're going to call it main because that's our main function. And we're going to run an if statement example over here. And we can say let user equals, let's say, Todd. So we're going to create a variable here. We're going to set it to Todd. What kind of variable is it? For $20? I'll give you $20. Just kidding. I won't do that. Don't sue me. Okay. It's a string, right? So let's say we wanted to write some kind of statement here, a decision-making statement. Let's say we wanted to check to see how many characters are in this string. And if there are 4 characters in the string, we can return something. How would we write that out? Well, we could say if the user.length, so if the length method, remember, is going to check how many characters, is equal to, remember the 2 equal signs, right? Is equal to, we looked at that before, our operator, is equal to what? Is equal to 4. So this is our if statement. Then we want to do something. And our then looks like curly brackets. So this is our then statement in our curly brackets. That's how you're going to write it. And if it looks confusing, you'll get used to it. So what do we want to say? Well, we could say print pass, okay? Pass. And there you go. That's an if statement. That's an if statement in a nutshell. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. Let's run. And we see we have pass. And this makes sense that we're going to see pass because the length is 4 and Todd has 4 characters. What if we were to change the length to 3? What if we were to change the length to 3? Let's run this again. We don't get anything because it's not going to pass. It's not going to pass. So that's an if statement. Now, how do you write an if-else statement? All right, that's an if statement. What if we wanted to say, well, if it's 3, we should print that it fails. Should we have, right? Well, I could try to rewrite the whole thing all over again and make another if statement, but there's an easier way to do this, and that's with the if-else statement. So let's do an example under here. So the if-else statement would look like what? Well, I could copy this whole code, put it right underneath, and we can change this to user2, and we can say user2's name is going to be, what's a good name? You tell me. Fred? You think Fred's a good name? All right, if you say so. So if the user.length equals 3 is the same as 3, pass, right? Now we can add an else statement. We could say else, and then we bring in our curly brackets because we're going to do something else. Else what? Print fail. Fail with an exclamation mark. You fail. And if we run this code, if we look at the bottom, what do we see? We see fail. We see fail. We failed. And we're happy that we failed because that's what we wanted. So this under here is an if-else, right? Here we just got this if statement. If this happens, do this. But here we've got this whole if-else thing happening. And that, my friends, is an if-else statement.